Welcome everyone to the AFib Quality Exchange Call. Our presenter today would be Deb Motes. After the ending of the presentation, we will forward the slides and all resources within 1 to 2 weeks. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Deb. And Deb, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle. So good afternoon, everybody. This is our, I believe it's our fourth exchange call. We are scheduling these for quarterly. The reason that we're doing it is because we started out about a year ago with our data days, and during the data days, our directors are running the reports and making sure that everybody is aware of where they are as far as award season, so that as things, as you get closer to the end of the calendar year, you know exactly where you are. You can use your information for process improvement and then hopefully to improve the overall patient care and the evidence-based care. So the quality exchange or the database, what we do with those is we send those out to you, and then a couple of weeks later we schedule these exchange calls. We will continue to do those. Yesterday we had heart failure and stroke, and then this morning we had resuscitation, and we have AFib now, and tomorrow there's a CAD exchange as well. So please feel free to join any of these that you'd like, any and all. The main reason we want to do is we want to look over some of the things, see what kind of fallouts that people are having across the country, initially discuss those. We want to share some experiences and exchange ideas, and hopefully the people on our webinar will participate. We really want to hear from you. You are the ones that are caring for these patients every single day and know more about it than most. So please participate, share with one another, and we'll go from there. We're here just to help to facilitate this. So on the call this morning, Michelle had everybody just type in what hospital you're from so that we can kind of get a feel as far as who we have on the line. And so if you could do that in the little type-in box down in the corner, and then Michelle will let me know who is online. I can't see the questions at this point. And I'll keep going as you do that. Thank you. So the agenda today, I don't know if it's in our exact order yet, but we're going to talk about the cryptogenic stroke toolkit, the Get With the Guidelines AFib Awards for 2018, share a little bit about data days, and then also the achievement measures that we have over the last, I kind of wanted to look at a trend over the last few years. AFib is probably is our least, or our newest. AFib is our newest program for Get With the Guidelines, and it has the least amount of participation at this point, but I did look today, and there are almost 200 hospitals now participating in the Get With the Guidelines tool, the patient management tool, and there is almost 60,000 records now that you are able to benchmark your information against others in the country, to see how you're doing, to share with your staff, to share in your committees, and just for overall process improvement. So we'll talk a little bit about those achievement measures. There's some educational opportunities that I would like to share, and also some Stroke Month resources, because we all know that people, patients who have AFib are more likely to have stroke. So just basic information, AFib's on the rise. Did you know that there's more than 2.7 million individuals that suffer from AFib, and it's expected to double? So this is an ongoing problem. AFib is costing the U.S. healthcare system billions of dollars, $26 billion annually, and each hospitalized patient costs an extra 8,750 patients. So that's kind of important to know, especially if people are coming back because they're not anticoagulated appropriately or for whatever reason. And the other thing is the readmission within 30 days of discharge can now result in CMS hospital penalties. So as far as reimbursement and that kind of stuff. So AFib is health-related issues. If a person who has AFib is 2 times more likely to be hospitalized than the non-AFib patients, but they're 5 times increased to have a stroke, which is a really kind of a scary thing. The patient care isn't always consistent with the evidence-based guidelines for this particular population of patients. And the sad part is there's only about 50 to 60% of the eligible patients that are receiving the anticoagulation therapy that they really need to help prevent strokes and other complications. So the gaps in care result in serious complications, and that is something that we really want to help you and your hospitals address so that we can decrease those costs. And the patients are also 3 times the increased rate for heart failure. And they're 3 times more likely to undergo multiple admissions. So there again, the 30-day readmission can really affect the bottom line of the hospital. So the PMT, the Get With the Guidelines PMT, does help to save lives, and it does that through putting the information into this robust tool. So you know, as you already know, you abstract your chart, put the information in, and then there's a lot of data that you can then download and review. Look for areas where you can improve your patient care. There are all the AHA directors can consult. There'll be consultants for you, so it's free support that's available to help you in developing your program, developing process improvement, doing whatever you may need to do. It's cost effective because it does reduce readmissions and comorbidities because people are much more aware of what's going on when you're looking concurrently at the data as it's being entered in, as people are taking care of it. There's also a lot of education that is available through the Get With the Guidelines program. There's webinars, there's local workshops, there's patient education tools. There's tons of good information that you can use to help with this patient population. And then we also have the ability for public recognition, just like the other modules. So if for this particular AFib module, there's only the achievement measures. We don't have plus measures at this time. So there's the achievement measures. If you have 85% or higher compliance over 90 days for the very first time. Initially, when you sign up, you get the participation award for the Get With the Guidelines. After 3 months of data at the 85% or higher, then you're eligible to receive the bronze award, which recognizes your work that you're doing. Then after 1 year of 85% or higher accumulative, you're eligible for a silver award, and for 24 months or 2 years consecutive, then you are also available for the gold award if you're at 85% or higher. So it really does help to save costs and lives, and it helps the hospitals really to hold to the latest scientific standards. So it is an excellent program. Any questions about the initial histories and stuff? Michelle, did anybody share where they're from?
No, but I do have a list, and I could actually tell you. Teresa is from UC Health.
Okay.
And the other ones are on the phones. I cannot see their details, but thank you so much for joining us, Teresa.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so back to the presentation. The cryptogenic stroke resources, there's some really excellent resources that we want to share with you, because as you know, a lot of the patients who come in with cryptogenic strokes are often related to AFib that's either been undiagnosed or patients not quite anticoagulated correctly, or just trying to figure out. And I believe it's probably close to 30% of cryptogenic strokes are related to AFib. So that's a pretty good. About 1 in 3 of the ischemic strokes, the root cause is still unknown. So the testing is really, really important for this so that we can get the patients on the appropriate medications and the appropriate care to help to follow them through. So I just kind of want to go to the site real quick so that you can see what this is about. But this information is all available to you. And like Michelle said, she will be sending out this presentation so that you will have the links to these things. But the cryptogenic stroke, there's a bunch of information. You've got the healthcare resources. There's tools for diagnosis and treatment for this patient. There's testimonial videos. There's just a lot of really good information in there that you can use to educate. There's the patient education resources, and then there's a partner activation kit as well. And if you look through this site, there's link after link, and you'll just continue to find more great information. So please feel free to use this information. Like I said, it's free of charge, it's available, and really need to help our stroke patients and our AFib patients to understand to help them prevent a stroke from happening. So this kind of goes through that. When you do hit the site, you know, they have this new cryptogenic stroke collaborative care video. There's a healthcare guide to help you. There's codes on stroke teams, quick information. There's just a lot of really good information. Then there's also tools that's for the professionals. For the patients, there's tools as well for the cryptogenic stroke. The patient guide for understanding. There's a waiting room poster that you can use. You can take a look at that. Oh, nope, sorry. That's not going to work. So anyway, there's just a lot of good information. And then overcoming the unknown, there's a video of a patient survivor. So again, you can share those with your staff. You can share those with your patients, whatever is helpful for you. So any questions about the initial part, the cryptogenic stroke and the resources available? No, we really like this to be interactive. So if you have something, please *6 and unmute, or you can type a question in the chat box as well, and Michelle will let me know. She'll interrupt me, let me know that there's a question there. So for day-to-days, I talked about that briefly, but in July of 2018, you will get your next day-to-day snapshot. So just to know that the day-to-day awards the day-to-day information that you get are snapshots. So it's just a snapshot of where you are on that particular day that the information was run. So it's a status report. It's important to know that. Things change every time you put in a new patient. If you complete a patient, then your numbers are going to change. So when you run these reports, they are static, but at least you have an idea of where you're at. October of 2018 will be our third, oh my goodness, I made some really bad errors there. The Q3, some snapshots. Again, that will be your Q3 snapshot that you'll get in October. We actually get the information in early October. So once we get that, again, it'll be the static report. If it's too long before we actually get the reports out, then we can always look at them and run more current reports and attach those as well. And please feel free to contact your director. If you have any questions about your reports, if you need any help, they are there to help and consult, so whatever you need. November of 2018, the gold and silver hospitals will be recognized at the scientific sessions. That's a big program that we have, and that's when all of the cardiac awards are awarded and recognized. And then in January of 2019, there's the Q4 year-end snapshot. So we'll give that to you early January so that you can take a look over the last year. So it'll be the calendar year. It'll be the static report. However, you'll have ideas and get some information as far as which of your patients are falling out. Because a lot of times when people are abstracting, they may miss something, you know, that as they're looking through it, they may miss something that they can go back and then correct. So we want to make sure that if you have the documentation there, that you are getting the credit that you deserve and are eligible for the appropriate award. So the goal for the deadline for completing all the charts for calendar year 18, so for this year, it will be for the 2019 award, is February 28th of 2019. So that will be the last time you can change anything, enter any additional information. After that, then the National Center runs all of the reports for the awards, and then we go from there with those. So some more about the awards in May of this year, 2018, this month. The awards will be announced via email to you. What you should do with this, there'll also be a recognition or a promotion, recognition promotional information that's sent. There's a link in there, and I'm just going to pick this one so I can show you what's there. But there's a lot of really good information there as well. Make sure to share that with your marketing department, your communications department. Share the information with the staff so that they know what a great job that they're doing. But there are promotional guidelines. So if you click on this link right here, that will show you what those are. You also will get the recognition icon. So there's 3 different ones. This is for, oops, that one's for stroke, but it's for the 2018 guidelines. So the JPEG is more of a just, you know, we're going to send it out. It's not going to be a perfect icon. And the ping one gets a little bit better. And then the EPS, you won't be able to open. That is like the high resolution. And that's more for your marketing department if they're going to use that information for any kind of advertising, and they may want to use that. In addition, you will have a news release. So I'm going to hit that. The news release will come up. This is going to say target stroke because I hit the wrong one. Hold on. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Oh, yeah. So the news release. Sorry. It's coming up. And then as that's coming up, there's also print advertisement that you can use for PDF. There's digital advertisement. There's some social media information in there that you can use. So there's just a lot of really good information. This, when it's sent to you, will be geared with your award with AFib, whether it's the silver award or the gold award or the bronze award. You will have the actual immediate release. Now, most of the awards you're going to get this month are going to be either the silver or gold, because the bronze, once you start with the program, you can get that award one time at any quarter, any of the quarters after you start. So say this first quarter you don't quite have 85%, you've done a little PI, and by third quarter you're at 85% on all of the measures in there, then you will qualify for that bronze award. So those can be given out quarterly. The other ones are annual. So you put in your city, the date, you know, the name of the hospital. It will say all the stuff, but it will say AFib. And then you just kind of fill in. So it's all there. It's all available. It's ready for you. There's some social media additional resources. So you can go onto Twitter and you can, you know, just talk about what a great job your hospitals are doing. Okay, and get rid of that. All right. So in June, so that's May of this month, you will, by the end of the month, be getting that information. Then in June of 2018, just so you know, there are abstract submissions. It's open now for the International Stroke Conference, and the International Stroke Conference will be in Hawaii in February this year. So it kind of gives people a little bit more incentive maybe to look at some of the research, some of the process improvements that you're doing, and submit an abstract to the International Stroke Conference, you know, about how you've made improvements, maybe how your stroke risk or your number of strokes have decreased since you've been taking a better look at all of the AFib patients, and, you know, anything like that that you're doing. Clinical application information is really helpful for, especially for nursing, and, you know, there's scientific ones and there also is clinical application. So if you go onto the, if you type in International Stroke Conference 2019, there'll be a place where you can actually go in, you can see how to submit an abstract. There's some examples of different abstracts. And although this is for stroke, AFib is a really important part of stroke care. So those will be looked at as well. And then in July 2018, there'll be a U.S. News and World Report ad published, and that recognizes all of the gold and silver hospitals. And in that report, there'll also be some information, but you can actually click on a link. I thought I put it in here, but it's probably somewhere. But you can click on the link, and it will take you to a map, and you can click on, say, Texas or Colorado or whatever. You click on that state, and it will show you all of the awards that were given to every hospital that received an award, whether it is for stroke, for AFib, for CAD, for resuscitation, or for heart failure. So those will all be available. It's really kind of cool to see your name and life. And when you click on the interactive map, it will show up on the map that you have achieved that. So a lot of people do internet health care, looking for good places to go where they're having good outcomes and good results. And so it's really important to be able to see that when you do click on that interactive map. So this is like over time. So with the AFib measure, I did a trend over time, just looking. We started the AFib program back in 2013. There wasn't a whole lot of hospitals at that time. So, the numbers have increased every year. And like I said, now we're up to nearly 200 hospitals that are submitting information. So we just kind of did a trend report. I just actually looked at half of the patients so that we could look across the United States, about 100 patients. And over the 2013 to 2017 trends, you can see that the ACE, ARB, and ARNI prescribed at discharge has actually been pretty good, pretty close to 85% since 2013. So that seems to be a measure, although it has changed a little bit and changed in 2017. What I mean by that is there's more specific information and educational things. So these are only looking at the patients if their LV ejection fraction is less than 40. So the next one is the beta blockers. Again, it's 95, 96% across the half of the United States or half of the patients that are in here at this time. The CHADS-VASc score seems to be one that has been a challenge for many people for many years, several years. So in 2013, we were at 50% for that. Then it went to 32, it went to 57, and this is again an aggregate of about half of our hospitals participating. And then it went to 63, and now it's getting a little bit better. It was 72 in 2017. And if you look down here below, the CHADS-VASc score for 2018, and this is only the first quarter, so there's a limited number of patients in there. We ran the report, I believe it was the first week in April, and it was first quarter. So I'm sure that, especially in first quarter, a lot of the patients have not been even entered into the PMT yet. So there's a lot more that will come. But it's just a way to kind of look at the trends. And I do see that CHADS-VASc score has improved, like I said, to 69%. Now, one of the differences with that particular measure is last year and previous years, and actually this year is a transition year. So you could either use looking at your thrombolytic risk factors, and you can fill in those, and it will figure your CHADS-VASc or CHADS-2-VASc score. But as of this year, as of 2017, you could use either measure. 2018 moving forward, you can it's only included if there's actually a number. So we can no longer just look at history, the physician or the PA or the nurse, whoever, or not nurse, but whoever is doing the CHADS-VASc score needs to actually have a number put in there. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on and making sure there may be some process improvements needed around that, maybe some cheat sheets for whoever may be documenting that information. The next one is the FDA-approved anticoagulation that's prescribed prior to discharge. As you can see, in 2013, there was a low number of patients, but there was only like 50% compliance. But since then, were in the 90s, like 97, 98%. So that's improved a lot. PT-INR, planned follow-up documented prior to discharge for warfarin treatment, 73% initially, and then since then it's been over 85%. And the statin discharge in the AFib patients, that seems to be a bit more of a challenge across the country. We've seen it in our Southwest affiliate as well, except it really did jump up here in the first quarter. So obviously people have been working on that over this last year, and it has now hit 85% for Q1 of 2018. But there seems to have been a struggle with actually getting that statin ordered at discharge. So I'd like to just stop there for a minute and open it up to see what kind of problems, are you having certain problems? Would you like to talk about any kind of issues that you're seeing? Any processes that you've used to improve? If there's any sharing things you could do, we would really appreciate that. So *6 to unmute, or if you have questions or comments, type them in the chat box and Michelle will let me know. And I'm going to give you just a couple minutes, not even minutes, a minute, to check into that or to see if you would like to share anything. Anything in the chat box? Michelle?
No questions in the chat box.
Nothing? Okay. All right. So looking again at Q1, it looks like the AFib, that's kind of fallen down, but again, this is early data. There's a lot of time to catch up on this, and there's probably most likely more patients that are entered in there. But 56, 60, 69. So really the only measure at this point for Q1 across the country that people are meeting at 85% or higher is the statin. So just some information to share, to think about, talk about on your teams. If you have I don't know if you have a committee or a AFib champion who is helping to care for these patients. So moving on, the next thing is, actually, I want to go to the next one. So, and then I'll go back. So this actually, if you don't know who your QSI director is for your Southwest affiliate, this is a map that shows you where or who is your, who would you contact? So who do you need to contact that's in your city or in your state that can help you with any of our Get With The Guidelines programs, really. It could be AFib, stroke, heart failure, refus, CAD, anything that you need. So in Arkansas, we had Kristen Waller, and then in Colorado is Julie Blakey. Oklahoma, we have Katie Butterfield, and then New Mexico and Wyoming is Ben Leonard, and their email addresses are there as well. The Texas has been broken up into several different people are covering, so you can see that on this key right here. And then the senior vice president or the senior and the vice president of the Southwest affiliate quality, Cherie Boxberger, covers heart failure and resuscitation. We kind of have put down so that we have some experts, or so that the senior leaders can kind of have more expertise to help the directors, because they have to know about all of these programs and all of these things. And so we wanted to really have some people that could focus more on what we can do to help with process improvement. So for Mission Lifeline and coronary artery disease, it's Lonnie Denny. And then for stroke and AFib, it would be me. And our email addresses are all on this map. So if you do have questions, or if you have a colleague that is using one of the other programs and maybe doesn't know who to contact, then please share this information with them. Now I'm going to go back up one. So upcoming educational opportunities. First of all, again, I talk about stroke a lot, but it's because of the relationship between AFib and stroke. So stroke is, May is Stroke Month, and so we have a thing that we call Stroke Coffee and Quality, and emails will be sent out to the people that are using Get With The Guidelines. And it's just a morning coffee thing. It's just a little blurb about maybe something new that's coming up or some issues that people are having or maybe some educational opportunities or whatever. Just something to look at in the morning while you're having coffee, more on the lighter side. And then on Thursday, May 3rd, which is tomorrow, we have Improving Outcomes for Patients with AFib. It's a webinar that starts at noon Central Time. And to register, there's a website there for that as well. Monday, May 21st, there's going to be a model for statewide rural outreach for hyperacute stroke patients or treatment that will be available, again, from 12 to 1, so over the noon hour. If you have time to listen into that, there'll be some great information. And then the last but not least, one of the educational opportunities is the summer boot camp. So what we're doing with stroke coordinators is we're planning a virtual stroke coordinator boot camp series, and it's going to be over 15 weeks. There'll be a 1-hour webinar offered each week, and cryptogenic stroke is one of the offerings that we will have on one of the weeks. Each week there'll be a different topic and a different speaker. The speakers are all stroke coordinators or AHA employees, but people who have a lot of experience actually in working with as a stroke coordinator, as a program coordinator. So even if it's not stroke coordinator program, I think a lot of the information that will be in this boot camp will be very helpful no matter what kind of program that you're coordinating for healthcare. So I think there will be some really good ideas. Registration information will be coming out in May, so stay tuned for that. And it's open to all stroke coordinators and like anybody else who would be interested in attending those. There will be CEUs offered, so it'll be 1 hour offered each week. So if you only see a couple of things that you may want to participate in or to watch, then you can do that, and then you will get the CEU for those programs. So you don't have to watch all of them if they're not of interest to you in your position. Oh Lord! So our this is really a cool thing. It's called the Watch, Learn, and Live. It's an interactive cardiovascular library. There's some excellent education sources for patients and caregivers, and also for professionals. And this is one I just happened to see that I thought was really cool. So they're interactive. These are good for everybody to use. If you needed to educate a patient on something like this, I think it would be really good. Hopefully you can see this okay on your screen. But this just kind of gives you the overall conduction of the heart, talks a little bit about atrial fib and how that works. And then if you hit the next one, then it actually has the interaction. So it's showing you what does your heart look like with a normal beat. So the atrium, of course, in the upper lobes, the ventricles, and how that all works together. And then there is one that shows you when you have atrial fib. So this is more of the atrial fib, probably heard, and what you can teach your patients. A lot of times we say to them, the upper chambers of your heart are quivering rather than beating like they should. So this would be a good way to illustrate to them what you're actually talking about and what you're seeing. And a lot of people are visual learners, and they want to be able to look at this and see that. And I think it's very good for a professional, for new nurses, for whatever as well. And there's several other videos down here, popular topics that you can use, but it's interactive and it's kind of fun. And so please use that as a resource as you see fit. All right. Then there's also, I could not believe how many actual AFib resources that I could find. So there, first of all, I'm going to go to this link down here, the AFib experience, and this kind of will give you the overall view. But again, all of this stuff is free of charge. This is really kind of, I think this is really kind of helping people to, helping people that they can give to their patients. So if you have a patient that's newly diagnosed, you can give them this website. They can take a look at this. There's community forums, so you can join a forum, introduce yourself, by clicking on any of these links. if you're newly diagnosed, if you want to look at what's new and what's research. And then there's just providers' offices. There's just a lot of community information that would be good for your patient. If you're newly diagnosed, there's things that are available for that, for treatment. You know, what are the appropriate treatments for this particular, for AFib, and whether it be at the hospital, at the lab. I'm just going to click on that to see what it takes us to. So, okay, some more educational information, you know, on how anticoagulants are taken. So again, these are good things that the patients may be able to use to help them understand what they're dealing with and what they can do to help prevent additional complications. There's some lifestyle information, so educational sheets you can use for that. There's the risk factors, how to lower it, what are your AFib goals. There's survivor stories, and then there's also additional resources. So on the slide, I have the additional resources, so I'm going to click on that. And this has got some amazing things. So when you look at this, they have the info, they have an AFib infographic. You just download it, and you can print it, you can use it for patients, you can do whatever you would like with this information. But it's more just a good overview of AFib, maybe more geared, I don't know, to professionals, maybe, but not necessarily. There's an AFib symptom tracker, so you can download that. You can send that with your patients so that they can kind of keep track of things, especially if there's a patient that are going in and out of AFib. You know, they may say, well, you know, once in a while I feel my heart like actually fluttering and those kind of things. And they can actually use this form to kind of mark down when are these things occurring, and so hopefully it can be caught if need be, if it's a new diagnosis. There's a lot of others, managing medications. There's these teaching sheets that are very, very good. These are also available in the actual Get With the Guidelines programs. There's different ones that what is atrial fib, so you can look at, well, it's not doing it. Anyway, what is atrial fib? You know, what do you need to know? How do you lower your risk? So they're good one-pagers that you can help use to educate patients. There's also the personal goal tracking, the strokes and TIA information, warning signs, medications, just a lot of really useful information. It talks about the pacemaker, the electrophysiology test, you know, what is a stress test, what is an arrhythmia. So any of these things are available for you to download and use. There's also some videos that you can use that your patients can watch that may be helpful. So whatever you see that may be helpful, please feel free to share that with colleagues and with patients. Any questions, comments? These are more geared for the patient. Okay. So next, professional education resources, and some of this I've already shared with you. First one being the webinar that's coming up. So it's going to be a live webinar series tomorrow, improving outcomes for patients with AFib. So hopefully you'll have time to join that over your lunch hour. It's a free webinar, but there is no CME that is associated with this one. You will receive the confirmation email, so if you wanted to print that out and show that, yes, you had that hour of education, that you attended it, then you could use that in your file if you would need something like that. And then coming up very soon is the Heart Rhythm Society Scientific Sessions, May 9th through 12th. That's in next week, I think. And that'll be held in Boston. It's going to be the 39th Annual Scientific Sessions. It's May 9th through the 12th. And it's at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center. So there's some things here, the sessions. See what this takes us to. So yeah, different sections. How do you register for the program? You can see an outline of the itinerary. and just some good information about this conference if that would be something that you would be interested in. Oops. And then, again, May is American Stroke Month, so there's a bunch of resources that have been added to the AHA website. So if you just type in AHA American Stroke Month, then these resources will come up for you. And you can use these as you see fit as well. There's Spanish information, there's stuff for healthcare professionals. If you're going to do some community events, there's just a lot of really good links. I don't think this link will work. So that's really all I have, but would love to have you share your thoughts on these exchange programs. Do you think that they're worthwhile? Is it something that you get anything out of? And also anything that you would like to share. So if you would please *6 to unmute. You can share any thoughts or ideas that you have, or you can type the question in the chat box. Anything in particular that you're having issues with, that you need to improve on with your team? Feel free to talk about, to let us know. We can try to help you to work on those things. Okay, so we are finishing up a little bit early, but if you have no further questions, then you can take 15 minutes of your time back. Hopefully you will find these slides and this information helpful in your professional work and travels and education as a patient as well. So have a great day, and I wish you the best. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. The PowerPoint slides and resources will be sent out in 1 or 2 weeks.